Long before Al Pacino became one of Hollywood's most iconic actors, he was just a kid from the South Bronx. Born on April 25, 1940, Alfredo James Pacino was raised by his mother and grandparents after his parents divorced when he was 2. Their small apartment barely held his ambitions, but young Al had something powerful working in his favor. Hunger, not just for food, but for purpose, for meaning, for a stage. School wasn't his strong suit. Teachers called him a troublemaker. Classmates remember him as quiet and distant. But when he discovered acting, it was like flipping a switch. The classroom couldn't hold his attention, but the stage could. At 17, he dropped out of high school and worked odd jobs: janitor, busboy, messenger, anything that could fund his dream of becoming an actor. Rejection was constant. He auditioned for numerous roles, was denied entry into prestigious acting schools, and at one point was even homeless. But Pacino kept going. Why? Because deep down, even in the face of failure, he believed he had something to say, something worth showing the world. In 1966, Al Pacino was accepted into the prestigious Actors Studio, where he studied under the legendary Lee Strasberg. Strasberg's method acting approach resonated deeply with Pacino. He didn't just want to play a character, he wanted to become one. This devotion to authenticity would become a hallmark of his performances. Then came the role that changed everything: Michael Corleone in The Godfather. It wasn't an easy win. Studio executives didn't want him. He was too unknown, too ethnic, too unpolished. But director Francis Ford Coppola saw something in Pacino, a quiet intensity, a storm brewing behind those dark eyes. When The Godfather hit theaters in 1972, the world was introduced to a new kind of star. Pacino's performance wasn't flashy, it was restrained, brooding, layered. It was the kind of performance that crawled under your skin and stayed there. He followed it with a string of unforgettable roles: the tortured cop in Serpico, the desperate bank robber in Dog Day Afternoon, and the fiery Tony Montana in Scarface. Each character was drastically different, but all shared the same soul. They were flawed, intense, and alive. Success came at a cost. With fame came pressure, scrutiny, and personal demons. Pacino struggled with addiction and the emotional toll of losing himself in his characters. There were times when the line between role and reality blurred. He once admitted that after filming Scarface, he had to step back from acting to reconnect with who he was. Despite his fame, Pacino never chased the spotlight. He avoided Hollywood parties, rarely gave interviews, and lived modestly. To him, the work was always more important than the fame. He valued the process, the transformation, the grind, the quiet moments of discovery. And when the roles stopped coming in the 80s, he didn't panic. He returned to his first love, theater. While others might have seen Broadway as a step back, Pacino saw it as home. It was a chance to sharpen his craft, to reconnect with the rawness of performance. In the early 1990s, Pacino made one of the greatest comebacks in film history. In 1992, he starred in Scent of a Woman, a role that won him his first Academy Award for Best Actor. His portrayal of blind, retired Lieutenant Colonel Frank Slade, brash, broken, yet deeply human, reminded audiences of the emotional power he could wield. From Heat, where he went toe-to-toe with Robert De Niro, to The Devil's Advocate in Any Given Sunday, Pacino continued to reinvent himself. He could play saints and sinners, cops and criminals, mentors and madmen. His voice, gravelly and unforgettable, became a cinematic signature. But through it all, Pacino remained deeply grounded in his roots. He credited his success not to talent alone, but to habits he cultivated over a lifetime. 1. Total immersion. Pacino never walked onto a set half-prepared. He became his characters. Whether it was learning to move like a blind man for Scent of a Woman or embodying the explosive rage of Tony Montana, he committed completely. For Pacino, preparation was sacred. 2. Relentless discipline. From his early days in the Bronx to global superstardom, Pacino never stopped working. Even when roles dried up or critics doubted him, he kept refining his craft, on stage, in small productions, and workshops. Acting was not just a job, it was his calling. 3. Staying true to the art. In a town obsessed with fame and box office numbers, Pacino chose integrity. He never sold out, never chased easy roles. If the project didn't challenge him, he turned it down. His career is a testament to doing the work for the love of it, not the applause. What was Al Pacino's inner spark? It was his deep need to connect. Beneath the brooding characters and larger-than-life performances was a man who understood pain, struggle, and passion. Pacino's spark wasn't just in his talent, it was in his empathy. He didn't perform to impress, he performed to understand, to heal, to reveal the raw truths that others were too afraid to speak. Because when Pacino was on screen, he didn't just play a role, he held up a mirror to the human condition. Al Pacino's story isn't just about awards or iconic roles. It's about resilience. It's about a kid from the Bronx who refused to give up, who studied, who failed, who rose, and who never stopped believing in the power of storytelling. He showed us that greatness isn't loud, it's relentless. And that true art comes from those brave enough to chase truth, no matter how uncomfortable it is. What does Al Pacino's journey teach you about pursuing your craft with heart? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned as we continue to explore the legends who shaped our world.